So, sustainable brands don't want to say that they are sustainable anymore, while Primark is doing one of the most sustainable initiatives that a brand has done recently. But we consumers don't care about any of that because we are too busy watching Chinese TikTokers saying that Chanel bags are made in their backyard. Yes, this is one of these videos in which I put a bunch of fashion news together, but this time I have the theory that all of the news that we are going to be talking about today are part of the same narrative, and we are going to see why. Yes, you heard that right. I did say Primark and sustainable in the same sentence and not as opposed to each other. It turns out that Primark has been doing repair workshops for free in several parts of Europe, the UK, and the US. And in those workshops, they aim to teach people how to do things like put a button or change the hem of a garment. I don't know how specialized those techniques are. I haven't been into any of those workshops, but according to them, they say that no previous sewing experience is required and all the participants go away with a booklet, a sewing kit, and a tote bag. Here I have to stop and ask, why the tote bag? Like, is there a single person of this planet without fewer than 70 promotional tote bags? What are we supposed to put in them anymore? I have to go and buy my groceries one apple at a time in order to be able to use my 173 tote bags at least one time a year. So please stop with the tote bags. Okay, let's continue. So a spokesperson from Primark actually said, "We know people want to make their clothes last longer, but often just need a little help getting started." That is great. That is amazing. I 100% agree. However, I have a couple of comments. First, how are you supposed to make Primark clothes last longer? Like, explain to me, how do you take a t-shirt that is made of plastic and that will peel the second time that you put it in the washer? How do you make that last longer? Like, are you supposed to put a button into it? Are you supposed to raise up the hem until you don't have any t-shirt left anymore and you are left with a headband? Is that how you get it to last longer? And my second comment is that she said that people want their clothes to last longer, but they need a little help getting started. That's true. Teaching people how to mend and repair are excellent initiatives, and more brands should actually be doing this. But the main reason why most of our clothes don't last is not because people don't know how to mend it, but because the clothes themselves are not made to last. I think it's quite cynical from a fast fashion brand to be putting that responsibility on the consumer. If Primark wanted their clothes to last, they wouldn't be filling up their stores every week with dozens of new styles made with the cheapest materials available. Yes, they do these repair workshops that are amazing and they give you another tote bag, but that doesn't mean that they actually want your clothes to last longer. They are here just co-opting the language of sustainability as if it were another trend. And that issue, the fact that most fast fashion brands nowadays, they call themselves sustainable and we accept that, we are so used to that, is actually what connects this story with the next one. So what happens when every brand under the sun now says that they are sustainable? When Primark is sustainable, it means that sustainability has lost all meaning. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of the brands that started with the genuine intention of being sustainable, now they are moving away from that message. For example, there is a Swedish brand called Asket, and it's not my style really, but I really like their ethos. They are very vocal about being against fast fashion and everything that it represents. It's a brand that is built in the very anti-capitalistic idea that you don't need endless growth to build a fashion brand. You just need good products, well made, and with a timeless style. And they actually made a lot of very clever advertising campaigns talking about that idea of quality over quantity. And actually, their tagline used to be the pursuit of less. However, it's not that anymore. There is an article in Business of Fashion saying that Asket and other brands that identified as ethical and sustainable are actually moving away from the sustainability narrative. Now, Asket tagline is permanent designs, obsessively refined. Does that mean that they don't care about sustainability anymore? Well, they say, these brands, that they are still keeping their sustainable and ethical practices, but what has changed is just the message. They have realized that sustainability is no longer a defining factor. As we saw before, fast fashion brands have appropriated the sustainability language, and we don't know anymore which brands are sustainable and which ones are just really, really good at greenwashing. But more importantly, some of these OG sustainable brands have realized that consumers don't really care about sustainability, or more accurately, that we, the consumers, don't buy based on sustainability. We buy when we like the product and when we can afford it. We are so tired of trying to decide which brands are the good ones, because maybe this one is using organic cotton, but their supply chain is not transparent, and this other one says that they produce in local ateliers, but they use only polyester. So which one is the best, or at least which one is the less bad? We don't want to face a moral dilemma every time that we go shopping. We just want pretty clothes. So traditionally sustainable brands are trying to bypass this sustainability fatigue by trying to highlight the qualities of their products themselves, like the materials and the craftsmanship, instead of its sustainable values. Is that really bad? Well, not necessarily, as long as these brands still keep their sustainable practices, because paying attention to the quality of a garment indirectly ties with sustainable values. Things that are well made and with good materials are going to last a lot longer, as we saw in the previous segment of the video when we talked about Primark. So if the altruistic approach of save the planet, be sustainable, buy from us, we are the better option, is not working anymore for these sustainable brands, it's not necessarily bad that they are changing to a more slightly selfish approach of buy this because it's better made and you deserve the best. The problem comes then if the people are no longer able to recognize that quality that you're trying to sell them. So in this dystopic reality that we are living right now, there has been a new phenomenon in social media that people are calling trade war TikToks. Apparently, in response to the tariffs that Trump wants to put over Chinese goods and pretty much all the goods that are not made in the US, there have been a series of viral videos on TikTok uncovering the Chinese manufacturers that allegedly make the bags for luxury brands like Chanel or Hermes. And they also provide links in case you want to buy directly from those manufacturers at a fraction of the price. Now, actually, what most of these Chinese manufacturers are saying in the TikTok videos are not that they are making the actual bags that are sold by Chanel or Louis Vuitton. They say that they can make bags of comparable quality and or that they are very similar visually. But the internet being the internet, lots of content creators have taken that message and simplified it as Chanel bags are made in China, you can buy one through this link. And those are the videos that are going viral, and obviously everyone believes them. However, there's this little detail that if any of those Chinese manufacturers were actually working for Chanel or Louis Vuitton, the amount of non-disclosure agreements that they would have to sign would be as high as the Eiffel Tower. So they would never risk losing one of those brands, the commercial relationship that they have with one of those brands, just to sell you a similar bag for $300. So Why are we so ready to believe that story? First, because we love conspiracy theories, and second, because honestly, luxury brands had it coming. And with that, I mean, all of them have denied these allegations that their bags are made in China, but the conversation went something like this. That's a ridiculous idea. We don't make bags in this Chinese manufacturer. Then where do you make them? Oh, not in this Chinese manufacturer. See the problem here? Because luxury brands are known for being notoriously opaque with their supply chains, and in fact, they are more opaque than even most fast fashion brands. They have the label of made in France, made in Italy, but most of them actually don't own their own factories. So they cannot prove that the factories that they use are actually in Italy or in France. One brand that does own their factories is, for example, Hermes, and they seem to be a little bit more transparent than most other luxury brands. But even then, there's the issue that the made in label doesn't necessarily mean that all the components in a product come from the same country. The components of a product can come from literally anywhere, and they can even come pre-assembled. So in your factory in Italy, you get those components, you put them together, and then you slap the label made in Italy on top of that. That said, is it really an issue that a product is made in China or in Vietnam or in Bangladesh? Well, not necessarily, because a product can be made in China and be of exceptional quality, just as a product can be made in the most beautiful factory in France and still be a potato. Perhaps we shouldn't care so much about where a garment is made, but instead about how is it made. For example, were the workers treated fairly? The labor laws that we have in places like Europe are supposed to give us a guarantee about that, but that doesn't mean that all the factories are compliant with these laws. Just like all the terrible working conditions that we see in Chinese factories when we watch documentaries about Shein or other fast fashion brands, that doesn't mean that all Chinese factories work like that. And in terms of quality, a lot of Chinese and Vietnamese, for example, manufacturers have more advanced machinery and more skilled workers than most of the factories that are present in Europe or in the US. Now, coming back to TikTok, there are a lot of people that have actually bought from those Chinese manufacturers, and now there are hundreds of unboxing videos of what they got. So was it really a Chanel bag? The majority of these videos are actually very positive. People say that they are super happy with their bags, and even some of them say that they can see handmade details in the product. The problem is some of those bags do indeed look amazing in the videos, but in other videos you can see the plastic coating peeling away from the fake leather, while the girl that bought the bag is asking full of hope is that is supposed to be the patina of the leather. So remember how we were talking about how sustainable brands are moving away from the sustainability message and instead trying to highlight the quality of their products? Well, that strategy works if 1, people are able to distinguish that quality, and 2, people care enough about that quality in order to pay a premium for that. And what is interesting about this TikTok situation is that there are also videos that are comparing the Chinese bags with their original ones. And people apparently are saying that in most cases there's not a lot of difference between them. Is that because some Chinese manufacturers are as good as couture houses? Is that because the original products weren't that good to begin with? Or even is that because we are so surrounded by badly made products that we are not able to recognize what quality means anymore? What do you think? Write down your opinion in the comments, because I have a lot of conflicting thoughts on the topic and I would love to discuss. If this thing about comparing a cheap garment versus an expensive garment is something that piques your interest, I recently made a video about what goes behind the pricing strategy of both kinds of products. Just check it out over here. And let me know which was your favorite piece of news today. Actually, I do have a favorite and I plan on expanding that on a different video. So let me know if you can guess which one is my favorite, aside from telling me yours. And until then, have a lovely rest of your day and see you soon in the next video.